can you?
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, I checked out Lady Scorpions, and this 2024 film was directed by Bruce Del Castillo and stars Cynthia Rothrock, Caitlin Deschelle, and Jeff Fahey, among others, of course. The story of this movie is that Cynthia Rothrock is like a CIA agent, and she's dealing with these mobsters. However, in order to get back at Cynthia, they kidnap her grandchild. And so now Cynthia and the mother of the child team up and have to do all of these fights. And there's lots of kick-ass fights, and the mother is actually like a kung fu instructor or a Krav Maga instructor or something like that, so she can also fight. And so what will happen? Will they get their grandchild back? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. Alright, so let's discuss this movie. Well, with this one, I originally decided to press play on this one because Cynthia Rothrock was in it. And I've seen her in a few other things. Certainly, I've seen Undefeatable, and there's a few other movies. Was it like China O'Brien or something like that? Anyway, Cynthia Rothrock is a martial artist actor, and she has quite a few, movies to her name. And so seeing her in this one, I certainly wanted to press play. With that being said, I was actually really pleasantly surprised with this movie, specifically with the fight scenes. The fight scenes in this one are so well choreographed. They really look like they're hitting hard, and like the way that these stunt performers just like throw their bodies into it, like I was blown away, really, to tell you the truth. And they start pretty early, like right after, the opening credits. They have a pretty fun fight scene. It is really amazing to see kind of how well they are all doing this stuff. Cynthia Rothrock, she's an older woman now, so she's probably like the least good fighter in this one, but she's still like throwing roundhouse kicks and punches that look like they're connecting, and that's great to see. The mother character, I think the actress is Caitlin. I saw she was like a stunt performer in other movies, so now that she's in front of the camera, I guess they're still in front of the camera now that she's a name in front of the camera. So her as the mother character, she's kicking ass too. She's like a Krav Maga instructor or something like that, so she knows all these kung fu moves and stuff, and it is absolutely amazing. Like, they hit each other so hard in this one that it is really impressive just to see the fights. So if you do like martial art movies, I think that this one is an excellent one to check out, just based on the fights alone. In addition, I thought all of the actors did a wonderful job. I know they probably got hired for also, their martial artist prowess, but they do a good job acting too. Like, all of them really, I think, fit into their roles. The villains are villainous, the good guys are good. And you really, I think, believe that these guys are, who they say they are in the movie. So it's really good to see not only good action, but good acting as well. In addition, I did enjoy the story, I have to say. It seems simple, I know, from my little explanation, and it's a fairly straightforward plot. However, there's just something about it where you just want to see, what's the next fight, what's the next event that's going to happen, how they're going to get out of this one, and where are they going to find the girl or whatever. And so it's just one of these movies where it's easy watching that way, and you really just kind of go along with it, looking at the fights, but also the story. Like, it's captivating. What else can I tell you? And that brings me to what doesn't work with this movie. Well, I'll try to talk about the elephant in the room first, and that is that Cynthia Rothrock's face doesn't move a whole lot in this one. She's actually, I think, like the weakest actor in the whole movie, but then her fight scenes are really good, so there's this kind of trade-off. So whatever, reason that might be, you're probably not watching Cynthia for her acting ability, so she is, certainly the weak point in this one. However, I think, that issue is kind of overshadowed by all of the good acting in this one, so, it's certainly something to overlook. In addition, this movie is certainly not perfect. There certainly has these like cheesy and silly kind of things that go into it. Like with this movie, it focuses on the martial art fights. And so there's one like cut where they just cut into like two people fighting, and you're like, what's going on? And they're like henchmen or something. And it turns out they're like just training. And then the boss comes in and says, hey, I want to train with this guy, so you guys leave. And it's like, that whole fight was meaningless then, but at the same time just entertaining. And so the story kind of has these elements that are, more geared towards the fighting, which, it's just a silly kind of action movie that way, so don't worry about it, too much. Other than that, I think within the first, 20 minutes or so, there's some kind of like cryptic language that they use to try to like, tell you what's going on, but not really tell you what's going on. So be prepared to, not understand everything perfectly at the start. And certainly once the kidnapping happens, then it's very straightforward. And so there are certainly things that kind of make it not a perfect movie, but it is certainly going to be a fun movie. So ultimately, would I recommend this movie? I would say, yeah, it is a great movie to watch if you enjoy kind of action and martial art movies. The fight scenes are just so good that I think they alone will, sell you the ticket. So if you can find it, press play on this one. As for a rating, well, I'm going to give it the good score of 7. Originally, I was going to give it a 6 because it's just kind of a silly movie. But just the fun factor alone of this movie, I think, boosted up to a 7. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.